For more than a week now, it seems like we can't go a single day without finding out another insane, ever increasingly insane thing that Marjorie Greene believes. But this might be the craziest. So back in November of 2018, California was hit by the worst wildfire in the state's history. We've had many, they've been getting worse thanks to climate change, but the Camp Fire was the worst. It began on November 8th, and according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, it burned a total of 153,000 acres, destroyed close to 20,000 structures, resulted in 85 civilian fatalities and several firefighter injuries. And it was apparently caused by electrical transmission lines owned and operated by Pacific Gas and Electricity. Scientists have noticed that climate change has worsened wildfires in places like California. So that is the actual explanation. But that is not good enough for some people, including the nation's craziest people led by their new queen, Marjorie Greene, who believed it was this. Now that's a gigantic block of text, and so I understand why you would not want to work through that, but we had to read it, and here is what they had to say. There's a bunch of stuff about Governor Brown and trains and how it's convenient that there were fires in California. It's also sort of traditional since they've been getting worse for a long time. But she says, oddly, there are all these people who have said they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light. I don't know anything about that, but I do find it really curious. PG&E's partnership with Solarin on space solar generators starting in 2009, they announced the launch into space in March 2018 and maybe even put them up before that. I don't know because I don't actually check things, I just say things. Space solar generators collect the sun's energy and then beam it back to Earth to a transmitter to convert to electricity. The idea is clean energy to replace coal and oil. If they're beaming the sun's energy back to Earth, I'm sure they wouldn't ever miss a transmitter receiving station, right? I mean, mistakes are never made when anything new is invented. What would that look like anyway? A laser beam or light beam coming down to Earth, I guess. Could that cause a fire? I don't know. I hope not. That wouldn't look so good for PG&E. Rothschild Inc., Solarin or Jerry Brown, who sure to seem fond of PG&E. And so there's a whole bunch of other stuff. But she is saying, I really hope they have very good aim beaming the sun's power down to Earth. But what do I know? I just like to read a lot. But do you? I mean, I guess blogs are writing. It is English language, there's letters in a sequence, but that stream of consciousness is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had been generating some sort of audience online, saying that they accidentally beamed a massive blue laser into California's countryside, and that started the fire. And what evidence does she need for that? That someone saw light in the sky. If only there was a term for like light coming down and hitting somewhere. No one's ever heard of this before, but she has her sources. And also something about the Rothschilds, because it can't just be space lasers, it's gotta be something about Jewish space lasers, Brett. Conspiracy theories can only exist for about a minute and a half before they become anti-Semitic. That's sort of a physical constant of the universe.
Right, we used to do countdown to racism on viewer comments when I had my first job, where it's like, all right, so this is about puppies. How many comments before it gets racist or anti-Semitic? And the answer is always like 4. I tried to think through my feelings on this, and it's one of them that's just really encapsulates it is a lot of us are all trying so hard. Like so many of us are trying so hard to do the research, do the work. When we're wrong, we admit it. We have a certain threshold for believing something and a certain healthy skepticism and judgment. But Marjorie Taylor Thomas does not. She does not have that. She just believes it. She just says it. When she was hounding, I think it was when she was hounding David Hogg, or there was another video that came out. Oh, when she's talking about having Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have to redo their swearing in on a Bible because you can't do it on a Quran. And that's just like a new law that allowed you to. When 4 presidents of the United States have sworn in on not the Bible, you can swear in on whatever the hell you want. Where I just have that moment that Robert California had after listening to Kevin's ideas and thinking for a while they were some kind of hidden meaning of brilliance, when he realizes, no, you're just an idiot. You're just a psycho, bad, deranged, detrimental to the American concept idiot. She's an enemy of the state in a very real, measurable way, not a hyperbolic one. She thinks that America needs to become a theocratic some kind of dictatorship where you need to swear in on the Bible, because Republicans would never sign off on anything like that. Not to mention that the separation of church and state, that stuff is what America's based on. To protect your right to go off in a church once a week and do whatever the hell you want, believe whatever you want to say. But when it comes to the halls of Congress, we can't have you discriminating against people on those grounds, because imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. And that is something that she can't imagine, because the only article of clothing that she prioritizes is her tinfoil hat.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.